With preventive strategies of emotional regulation, mediators work upstream of the emotional cycle. In particular, the social regulators can either aim to create the conditions that will prevent the emotional cycle from taking place, which is what we call situational prevention, or they can provide the parties with tools that will help them to effectively manage the emotional cycle by themselves, and this is called self-regulation assistance. Just as it was the case when we talked about self-regulation strategies, a strategy for regulating emotions amounts to working at the very beginning of the process, on the occurrence of the situations, and this is situational prevention. Sure, when the parties arrive in mediation, they are already under the influence of their emotions, and it is therefore difficult to intervene upstream of the emotional situation. But when we talk about situational prevention in mediation, we are thinking more about the strategies that mediators can put in place to reduce the likelihood of emotional outbursts and floodings. The objective here is to create a space for discussion that allows problems and their associated feelings to be exposed in a calm rather than tensed manner. The tools available to mediators to ensure situational prevention are multiple. One example is the enunciation of rules during the initiation phase. Mediators can also work on the physical environment in which the mediation takes place. For instance, environments that are free of noises and that have a calming atmosphere will be preferred. In short, mediators will work to modify all aspects of the situation that are likely to create tension and to promote all aspects of the situation that are likely to bring out favorable rather than unfavorable emotions. The second preventive strategy of social regulation is the strategy of self-regulation assistance. The idea here is to provide the parties with practical supports and tools to effectively self-regulate their emotions. We have already talked about the fact that, for example, to prevent emotional floodings, mediators can agree with the parties on a communication code that they can use when the emotions threaten to overwhelm them. Other types of assistance exist. For example, mediators can educate the parties about the different modes of self-regulation that are available. And they can draw their attention on the most effective modes, such as cognitive reappraisal, as we said. In some cases, conflict managers can also refer parties to emotional regulation training, such as mindfulness training or meditation. Preventive strategies are interesting in mediation, but they are even more so in more global management contexts. If you are a manager in an organization, a parent in a family, or a teacher in a classroom, you can consider applying preventive techniques long before conflicts arise. By teaching your children, students, or employees to manage their emotion effectively, you prevent conflicts from occurring, which is a much better strategy than any action you might take once the conflict has in fact exploded.